Your obsession with Daniel has to stop.
Hi. If you heard my side of the story, you would see it differently.
So many layers to your characters. When it comes to playing these characters, what was for you sort of the aha moment of like unlocking the essence of your character? And Laurie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the essence of Daniel, certainly within this story, is that he's so close to Laura. Due to Rose's death, their first child, Laura has poured a lot of her love and attention into Daniel. And whilst that has made them extremely close, and never closer than most their relationship, it's also become a bit of a canary in a cage. He's like a little bit of a cage bird. And when Cherry comes along, he meets her. It allows him a way to separate himself from Laura. And I think he's probably, without even realizing, potentially, it could be subconscious, he's been yearning for that. And those two things, his life with Cherry, the separate life that he carves out, and his life within the family, and especially with his mother, they conflict, and it becomes increasingly more difficult for them to exist in the same space. I think what I latched onto always was that his modus operandi is that he wants both of these women to coexist, get on, be a happy family. He loves them both separately, and he wants to love them both together. But unfortunately, he just can't have his cake and eat it.
And Waleed, what about for you?
Yeah, I think for me, it came in my resistance to some of the scenes. And so when I explored that resistance, especially in the second block, I just didn't like how originally it was written, where Howard kind of surrendered to Laura. And after, we discovered that she had an affair with Lilith, and a relationship that's very real, that would definitely trigger Howard, because she's been in their lives for the past 30 years. But that fight, originally in the script, it was like, Howard's leaving his house. And I was like, why would Howard leave his own house? He's not the one at fault. He's the bread earner here. And I felt very protective of him. So I think for me, that kind of unlocked Howard's strength and his dignity, and also like his willingness to finally stand up towards Laura in such a way where it wasn't about avoiding. And it's about, no, listen, when I come back, I want you gone. And that did unlock something. And I remember even when we were shooting it that day, I was so angry at the original draft that I kind of went in with it. And I was like, no, I just want to make sure. And then Robin and I maybe didn't get into it a little bit, but she was also like, she noticed this real aggressiveness that I came into the scene, and it was a fight scene. So it fed us a little bit, but she was like, I don't know. We got into a little tiff at the beginning, but then we shot the scene. And it was great.
Well, the tension was there.
Yeah. But yeah, that did unlock something, because Howard, his essence is kindness. And I think that was one of the first things that I really loved about the description of the character. There's such an underrated thing about people with kindness. And I love the fact that the show leaned into this character where that was his strength. That was his superpower. That was his thing. So, but that doesn't mean that if you're kind, you're not strong. It's actually quite the opposite. You can be more brutal, and more, what's the word? Just more fierce, once you've been stabbed. And that's what happened, so yeah, that did unlock it, but it was always kind of there anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious because in the last episode, after everything happens, after Laura dies, we get a time jump and we don't really know what happened in between. What do you think what do you think your character's mind was at after that death, and how did they get to the final scene where, he listens to that voicemail or the video, and he finds out everything, the truth about sort of Cherry's background?
How do we get there? Yeah, I mean, obviously, The intention is not to kill Laura. That's I think that's, well, people can make that up in their own mind. In my head, it wasn't, but I think it happens in a moment of drugged passion and a pressure that had to go somewhere, and it results in that. I think the solace, or at least the saving grace, that Daniel have was that he was defending Cherry, and that his hand was forced, and so that's what it will give him, maybe a morsel of comfort, so that when we see that scene, and that's where he is at that point, when we see the scene with the phone and the voicemail and from Cherry's mother, this person that he's placed all his faith and trust in, there's suddenly that just all unravels, and now suddenly he's doubting everything that's come before, and now he feels he's murdered his mother, who was actually right all along. It's quite a powerful moment.
But if we were to skip forward, I think what the show would do is probably show the other perspective of that, right? Because I think that's interesting, and I think that's where, you know, the show leads you to kind of assume that, but you never know. I mean, there may be. I'm of the belief that it's not one view or the other that are right. It's both. And it really is. And I think it's part of the problem that we have in society in general, or just in the world, and why we have such divisiveness. Like, well, if we stopped and said, okay, well, maybe the truth is in both, that, you know, one, it's just more closer to reality. And that's what real tension is when there's two contradicting things, you know, and that's what complex characters are. And that's what life is. But it's also like, it just makes it so much less black and white. It's like, no, there are two truths here, and they're both right.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, Laura and Cherry don't have to both be right for them both to have been wronged. You know, right. They're both hurting and both suffering.
Exactly.
But they're both wrong and right. Like, yeah.
It's like Greek tragedy. We were talking about it in an earlier interview, and I think that's what's interesting about the show. It's like what human behavior will do with a little provocation of trust and, you know, survival, and like, you know, I got to protect my own, and, you know, the differences between what society does and class structure, and, you know, you got to compete for acceptance, and, you know, so that's where I think like audiences will empathize with both, with the protection of your own, but also of, well, why can't I have that, you know? So yeah, I love that about the show.
Oh, well, I mean, what a great way to end this interview. I loved this show. I thought so many of the layers really came out, and I agree, you know, the two perspectives is just, it really opens your eyes when you watch this show. So I want to thank you guys for chatting with me. I hope people get to watch this, because it was the wildest ride I've ever been on in a while. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.